Hi, it's Stacy with Families with Grace, and I have today for you 10 steps for planning a kid's birthday party. They're some of the very best things that I have learned through the years of planning kids' parties for my own children. So my son's birthday is next week, and boy, that has really come quickly. We've been doing some birthday planning around here, but I feel like I'm a little bit behind this year. I've had some other things going on. Usually I'm more on top of things, but we're making it work, and it's all coming together. So we have some of our own birthday traditions that our kids love and our whole family really does enjoy. And you can click over and take a look at that link. I posted that back in October, right after my daughter's birthday. I think it was on my daughter's birthday, in fact. And we just love those traditions. But along with that, we also plan parties. And so with having kids and planning parties, I've learned a few things that work well. And I'd figured that I would share them with you because we're in this together. So the first thing is think about your budget. This is pretty much where everything always starts, isn't it? You've got to know how much money you're comfortable spending in order to plan well. Personally, I tend to stick with a lower budget because I think it just makes sense to me for a kid's party, and there's so much that you can do that they'll have fun with without breaking the bank. Consider a cost for the location, food, paper products, and treat bags. The second thing to do is to figure out your space. Obviously, you've got to have somewhere to have the party. For me, not having it at home is the very best plan. Having it at home adds so much more stress for me. I'm not sure that's true for everyone, but I'm guessing it's true for most of us. So figure out where you're going to have the party. Go back to your budget and decide if you want to pay for a venue, and if so, what might work with your budget, as well as how much space you need and how many people you want to include. For the first friend party we threw for our daughter, we went to a local bowling alley. It was fun for her, but it also meant that we had to keep the guest list smaller, and we weren't able to have ice cream because they didn't have a freezer. But on the other hand, we didn't have to plan any activities because bowling, and they also included snacks with it. Since then, we've opted to have our parties in our church gymnasium. It's been a great fit for us because there's lots of space inside, great parking outside, and a kitchen that we can use. Number 3, decide on your guest list. Before you mention it to your kiddo, think first about your budget and where you're planning to have the party. Are you having it at a venue that offers a limited number of spaces for kids' parties? Are you having it at home and only have room for a few kids? Are you having it somewhere that you can invite as many kids as your child wants? Once you have an idea about how many kids you're thinking to have, start talking to your child about it. I have done both options of giving my kids a specific number that we have to stay with, and then also just asking them who all they want to include. It really totally depends on your situation. Now that we use the gym at church, I don't give them a set number because we have some more flexibility, but we do pay attention to who they want to invite, and I want to keep it manageable as well, or else they might try to invite the whole school. I try to encourage them to include friends that they spend time with and that they enjoy. I am less inclined to invite the entire class. I like for the kids to pick kids that they play with, interact with, and have fun with. Of course, I'm also an introvert, so I tend to think smaller gatherings of close friends are better anyway. And that may be just the opposite for you and your family, and that's totally fine. You just need to know up front who you're having and how many people you're having. Number 4. Invitations. Make sure you get your invitations out at least 2 weeks before the party. I think the earlier invitations go out, the better. If you can get them out a month ahead of time, go for it. I have done invitations 3 different ways. For my daughter's first friend party, I sent them out via email with a Google form to RSVP. And that wasn't very successful, to be honest with you, so I haven't done that since. Facebook has been a really good way to do party invitations. I have done Facebook events for birthday party invitations. I've done that more for my daughter because she has been with the same basic group of kids since kindergarten. And now that she's in 3rd grade, I'm either friends with their parents on Facebook or I can easily find them. So I just make a Facebook event and invite people that way. And the 3rd way is paper invitations. Those also work. In fact, for my son's birthday party that's coming up, I went the paper route. You can buy invitations and fill them out, or you can make your own and print them. For us, I decided to make my own and printed ours. It was pretty easy to do. I just got Spider-Man and kind of did some cool text, and it just works. Be sure you don't forget information and include the date, time, location with the address and contact information for RSVPing. I usually do my cell phone number and email address. I've also included before whether parents were welcome to drop off and leave the kiddos or if they needed to know anything else. For example, when my daughter had an art party a couple of years ago, I noted on the invitation that they might want to wear something that would be okay with getting washable art supplies on. Number 5, decide on activities. We have a pretty set format for our parties. One of the popular stations that works no matter what the party theme is a coloring table. I print out some coloring sheets that are geared toward the theme and put out some crayons. When the kids come in, they immediately have something they can do. Good to see you. Want to color? I leave it set up throughout the party, so if kids want to go back to their coloring, they have that option. I try to plan about 2 organized activities or games, thinking about the age range of kids that I have coming to the party. My daughter, for whom we've had the most friend parties because she is older, tends to like activities more than games, but we've done both with her. For her art party, we had craft stations. For her baby doll party, we basically played a lot of pretend. We asked guests to bring a doll or stuffed animal, and they could do different things. We had a diaper toss game, but we also had a table set up with doll food where they could feed their babies. This past year, she wanted a Barbie and beauty theme, so we had nail painting and lip gloss making. My son, on the other hand, is younger and more active. He likes games. We have done a version of Pin the Tail on the Donkey that was Pin the Fire on the Dragon for his dragon-themed party. At the same party, the kids swung at a dragon piñata with a toy sword to slay it. I try to keep it simple, but I do find that having 1 or 2 organized activities help keeps the kids engaged and having fun. Once you've decided what to do, then you need to decide your order. We typically do games and activities first, which take about an hour. Then we have snacks for about 30 minutes, and finally finish with the final 30 minutes or so with opening gifts. All right, and then another thing is, don't forget food. Of course you need food for a party. I usually plan my parties for 2 to 4 p.m., so we can offer snacks, but we don't have to serve a full meal. And this is my plan for 2 reasons. First, my own kids don't really like stopping their playing and fun to take a lot of time and eat. So they want things that are quick and easy rather than having to sit longer and eat a meal. And second, obviously, it's cheaper. The biggest thing I do with food is make sure that it's what the birthday kid likes. My daughter, bless her heart, doesn't like icing or cake very much. I'm still trying to figure out how she belongs to me. So we don't have cake for her birthday parties. The last 2 years, we had donuts instead. I got all the same yeast donuts and then got her a bigger one to put a candle in. One year, we did an ice cream bar sundae. My son, on the other hand, loves having cake. He loves cake. He loves icing. So usually, I bake the cake for him because I love baking and it does save some funds. Cupcakes are my go-to for kids' parties because they are easier to serve. I usually do chocolate and vanilla cupcakes with vanilla icing. They can look a little fancy if you use an icing bag and just plop it on with a tip so it kind of swirls, but you can totally just use a butter knife or spatula and smear it on there. I also like the individual ice cream cups to serve the ice cream instead of having to scoop it out, but you can definitely scoop it out as needed or into small plastic cups or bowls ahead of time. Along with the sweets, I offer other kid-friendly food. Goldfish are always popular. Sometimes I do pretzels. For my daughter's party, we also had cheesy popcorn, and it was a huge hit. I try to offer some kind of fruit as well that kids tend to like grapes or strawberries. And then my husband and I station ourselves at the food table when it's time for snacks and help the kids make their plates, especially at their younger ages. As they get older, they need less help, obviously. For drinks, we keep it simple and usually have a pitcher of lemonade with a backup to keep the pitcher refilled and a jug of water. For my daughter's baby doll party, I did make punch and floated some brand new clean rubber ducks in it though. All right, decorations. That's another big part of a party, and decorations don't have to be elaborate to be fun. Some moms are super great at decorating and crafting. I'm not one of them. While I can easily make the cupcakes because I love baking, I cannot easily make lots of decorations. It's just not my thing. I'm not good at it. Maybe you're the opposite. If so, go with what works for you. Almost always, it's easier on the budget if you can make something versus purchase it. My decoration plan is pretty simple and straightforward. I buy a plastic tablecloth for the food table that matches the theme or the colors. And then I have the matching plates and napkins, and I find cups that are similar color with that. I buy a birthday banner that matches the theme and hang it up. Sometimes I use crepe paper and balloons we blow up ourselves for the door leading into the gym or elsewhere in the gym so people know where to go and what to do. Otherwise, I will say that I'm not a mom who lets the kids play with balloons because I have a crazy balloon anxiety and I just can't handle it. But otherwise, we usually end up making some decorations to hang up that are coloring pages for the theme that we color and glue to construction paper. The kids like being involved with this, and it's fun to see their artwork on display. Another thing to think about is to plan for some extras. Once I've made a list of kids to invite, I tally our numbers, including siblings for families we know. For example, when we invite children from church or friends, we usually know the entire family and expect that all of the children will come. When we invite children from school, we know they may or may not bring a sibling along. So I always make sure to plan for a few extras, because if someone brings a sibling or a cousin visiting for the weekend or whatever, I don't want them to feel left out when it comes to treat bags or activities. And that also goes with food. As you're thinking about food, it's also good to think about how many parents that you have that will be staying so you can make sure that everyone gets to have a snack. When it comes to treat bags, I like to fill them with stuff I know my kids would like and actually use. I try to stay away from doing all candy treat bags because I don't really like those for my own kids. I like things like stickers, notebooks, temporary tattoos, fun erasers, pencils, and small toys. I do usually include a couple of small pieces of candy as well. I look for things that I know I would say yes to my kids eating one or two of after going to a party and having sweets there. Another thing to think about is making sure that you have enough help. As you assess your venue, the number of children you're having, your activities and food, think about how much help you're going to need. While my husband and I work well together and get things covered, I found that having my parents come along as well is incredibly helpful, and I'm fortunate that they live near and are willing to do that. For my daughter's party last fall, for example, I ran out of time to clean and cut the strawberries, so my mom did that while I set up the party. She also helped with nail painting while I manned the lip gloss making table. Sometimes asking extended family or friends to come along and help makes life so much easier. And finally, assign someone to take photos. Who doesn't want a lot of photos for their kids' birthdays? I mean, of course we do. And with the digital age, we don't even have to worry about going through too much film either. Sometimes I use my cell phone, but for these parties, I tend to take our digital camera instead because I get better pictures. Either way, though, I ask someone else to take the photos. My parents are helpful with that. I want photos, but I can be so busy helping the kids through games, activities, snacks, and opening gifts that I don't get a chance to take very many. Having someone else do that for me has been invaluable. I end up with way more pictures and I'm much happier in the end. With that said, make sure you also think about what kind of photos that you want to have and communicate that. I always like to get one of the kids by the birthday banner before everyone arrives, and I usually try and take photos of the decorations that way as well. And, of course, I want photos with the candles on the cake, or donut, and while they're opening gifts. I also like to get a photo of all the kids together. Usually, I bribe them and do this after activities, but before snacks, so I can say something like, if you want a piece of cake, come over here for a photo first. Sounds silly, but it works. And those are my 10 tips. What are some things that you found that work well as you're planning kids' birthday parties? I would love to hear from you in the comments. Thanks so much.